enjoyable experiences of life. People talk about we should go out. This is what they're talking about. This whole thing, we're all out now. No one is home. Not one person here is home. We're all out. There are people trying to find us. They don't know where we are. Did you read? I can't find him. Where did he go? He didn't tell me where he was going. He must have gone out. You want to go out. You get ready. You pick out the clothes, right? You take the shower, get all ready. Get the cash, get your friends the car, the spot, the reservation. You stand around, what do? You go, we gotta get in the back. Once you're out, you want to get back. You want to go sick, you want to get up, you want to go out again tomorrow, right? Wherever you are in life, it's my feeling, you gotta go.
Well, that's one of my favorite shows of all time, Seinfeld. And he has a point. And that's always something funny to listen to. You want to go out. People want to go out. Couple of people here called us at some very high class restaurants one time, Chick-fil-A and Burger King a couple times, and we just want to go out. This is a normal thing. I went to a football game Friday. Guess what? I think people didn't really care much about the game, even though it was a good game. But people just like being out. People like being around people, and which is true. So we're going to talk about communion and why it's important. Now we're going to talk about the communion we're going to partake after the message. The Lord's Supper, we call it. We will talk more about that, but we're also going to kind of talk about fellowship and what food, how going out and doing stuff with other people helps too. I know Christian talked about fellowship last week, but I'm going to kind of piggyback off that a little bit. So we're going to have communion after the message. Now we're going to do it a little different. Most of y'all know it's a little different this morning. Instead of the grab the cup and go, I need y'all to wait, and we're going to take the bread together and the juice together at the end of the service today. Okay? So if I forget to mention that, please help me remind me to mention that again. Okay? So as I said, after when communion is given to you, just hold the stuff, and then we'll pray and partake. Okay? So, Seinfeld was talking about going out. Now, we like to do that. And I got some numbers here, but I also want to show you this picture I have. Let me see if I can do it. Wait. Boom! Okay, that worked. Let's see if I can do it. Get ready. Boom! All right, John, you got to work for me, son. All right. Boom! Oh, you got something. Anyway, when the picture's pulling up, let me explain what it is. When you see this picture, it says, it's a coffee cup that says, keep a lid on it. Now, I've seen a similar sign like this when I was at Southern Miss. There was a Starbucks in the library. So obviously the librarians were telling you, keep a lid on your drinks, because there was a ton of money in the computers and stuff like that. They don't want anything to be spilled on those computers. They don't want anything to be spilled on those books. They don't want anything to be spilled in general. So they had a sign with a coffee cup that said, keep a lid on it. Now, being a librarian, it also kind of had another underlying meaning. What do you think that was? Keep your mouth shut, right? So, when we look at the Lord's Supper, yeah, we're talking about, or communion, or this, what we're going to do after the message. Yes, we are talking about what's going on. But think about this. Think about the food industry. Let's just think about restaurants, any restaurants. Last year, the restaurant industry was a $799 billion, that's with a B, industry. 799, almost $800 billion. That's a lot of money. Think about it when you ever go to Wendy's and get the 4 for $4. You know what I mean? When you go to Taco Bell and get the cheapest thing on the menu. The food industry is making about, the restaurant industry is making about $800 billion with a B. Now let's look at grocery stores, because let's face it, a man got to eat, so we need food at the house. Now this number is slightly lower, or it's not slightly lower, significantly lower The grocery store industry last year made $280 billion. Wow. That's a lot of money. That's almost $1 trillion when we're talking about food in America. Wow. People spend money to grocery stores and restaurants. Think about the season we're about to embark in. Halloween's about to come up. What we're going to do? Strangers going to knock on your door, you're going to give them candy. That's kind of weird, but it's going to happen. Thanksgiving's coming up. What are we going to do? Oh, by the way, the Saints are playing on Thanksgiving night, so at 8 o'clock on Thanksgiving, I'm not taking any calls or doing anything. So just going to let you know on Thanksgiving night, I'm going to be out. All right? We're going to have food. We're going to get together with friends and family and eat Christmas. Guess what we're going to do again? There's a reason why we always set a goal for New Year's resolution to lose weight. Because we have 3 months of straight eating, guys. No, it gets worse. February, guess what? Man, guess what happens on February 14th? Y'all need to know this, please. What happens on February 14th? Valentine's Day. Guys, this more affects you because what are you going to do for your significant other? You're going to take them out to eat. You're going to probably buy them chocolates. Probably going to do something special. And I bet you food is going to be centered around it. Birthdays. Birthday cake. Events. I'm planning a fall festival. Guess one of the topics we talked about? Food. When a soldier leaves, when I left Mississippi, I got my friends together, had a meal together, and went bowling. Departures, arrivals, when they come back, when you're going home, my aunt is looking forward to seeing me down in Newport News, Virginia, and she said, tell me when you're coming, we'll have a cookout. She's looking for an excuse to feed people, to entertain people. Me and Christian will bring our ladies over to the house, and we'll cook something for them. Okay? We're off to entertain. We always invite other couples to come and feed. We love to entertain, and it's always around food. Think about most of your dates. You guys who are older than me, and think about that. When you asked your lady out, what was one of the things you probably said? Let's go get something to eat. And then after that, you have to come up with something creative. The classic dinner and a movie. Dinner and mini golf. Most of my dates, and Ashley can tell you this, it usually ends up with ice cream. Almost all the time. And we're getting smart. We're getting financially smart. We're going to Walmart to pick up the ice cream, which is cheaper, and just as good as if you go to, somewhere, a restaurant. So we're getting smart with our money and our ice cream. You're invited to go have coffee with friends. Wow, think about that. When you invite people, what's one of the things you always say? Hey, let's have coffee together. Let's do this together. Hey, come to the grind. I'll be there. I'll get you a cookie. Which they're good, by the way. So, if you want to open your Bibles now to Matthew 26. Now, our verse for this series has been Acts 2:42. And we're talking about the breaking of bread. So, there's no better way to talk about communion than the Lord's Supper, the Last Supper. The last time Jesus was about to partake in food. There's no better time. Okay? So we're going to be in Matthew. 26? Yeah. 26, starting in verse 17. So let's a little bit of backstory of Jesus. As the kids say, stuff was about to get real. There was a plot ready to kill Jesus, to get him arrested. There was a plot already in the works. So, Jesus knew this was coming. He knew his time was up. We're going to read verses 17 through 19. On the first day of the festival of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, where do you want us to make preparations for you to eat the Passover? He replied, go into the city, Go into the city to a certain man and tell him, the teacher said, the appointed time is near. I am going to celebrate the Passover with my disciples at your house. So the disciples did as Jesus had directed them and prepared the Passover. These first 3 verses, what we see about the Passover, about what Jesus is doing here. Jesus still made time for his disciples, still made time for his friends. But Jesus also sent them out to go get it prepared. And that's one of the things we should look at. The Lord's Supper, it had to be prepared. The Passover meal, it had to be prepared. People had to go out and get the stuff. It had to be ready to go. And it took sacrifice. Guys, we thank you so much for the offerings you give because it fills these cups and it buys us this bread. It keeps the lights on here so we can partake in the Lord's Supper in this church. It takes sacrifice. It takes time. It takes sacrifice, time, money. Especially, think about this, you ladies who, I don't know, most of the ladies, because if you left it up with guys, we would, find some, easier way to do it. But when my cousin, Eileen, she loves entertaining people. When I go to see her, I never buy a meal. And I never go out, because she's always cooking. She loves to entertain, and she is so passionate. She's already bugging me about Christmas already. I'm like, it's September. I don't know. She's like, oh, come on, I'll feed you. I said, I don't doubt that. She enjoys taking her time out of her schedule because she's got my Aunt Tressy's not in the best of health, and so she's taking care of her as well. She has 2 sons. It is a lot. And she takes the time and she works at it. She sacrifices her time. She sacrifices my cousin George's money because he makes the money. But it's a sacrifice. It takes work. It takes time to prepare. And Jesus was getting prepared too to do something that was astronomical. Verses 20 through 25. When the evening came, Jesus was reclining at the table with the 12. And while they were eating, he said, truly, I tell you, one of you will betray me. Then they were very sad and began to say to him, one after another, surely you don't mean me, Lord. Jesus replied, the one who dipped his hands into the bowl with me will betray me. The Son of Man will go just as it is written about him. But woe is that man who betrays the Son of Man. It would be better if he had not been born. Then Judas, the one who would betray him, said, surely you don't mean me, Rabbi. And Jesus answered, you have said so. I like to watch this show. I was up crazy late last night because I couldn't go to sleep. A little side note. You know what college football Saturday means? Tired youth minister Sunday. So I was staying up late. For some reason, I couldn't go back to sleep or something. And I was watching Blue Bloods on Netflix. Well, if you ever watch this show, it's a family. And one of everybody's favorite scenes is when they all get together for Sunday dinner. And sometimes the conversations, they're talking about work, sometimes they're talking about the kids' soccer game, they're talking about a case, and all the stories are aligning. They get mad at each other, they're happy, they're laughing, but they're having dinner together. And that's important to them. And as you see in these verses, in verses 20 through 25, when Jesus came and sat down and reclined, he didn't give the normal howdy. He gave the stuff ain't gonna happen well, guys. Someone around this table is gonna betray me. Wow, what a downer, right? Man. Woo. Think about if you're the disciples going, oh, Jesus, can we talk about something else before you talk about this? Can we kind of move into that subject? No, Jesus went right into it. He goes, well, y'all going to betray me. It's going to be Judas. Man, think about that conversation. Think about what come after that. Wow. There was probably some awkward signs. He hit him with the hard news. Talk about the one you be betraying. And in verses 23 through, let me see what we're going to say. 23 through 25. I want to read this one more time. Jesus replied, "The one who will dip his hands into the bowl with me will betray me. The Son of Man," and not this one. "The Son of Man will go just as it is written about him." Alright, now this is the sentence I want you to listen to. "But woe is that man who betrays the Son of Man!" Exclamation point. Is it up there? Well, my version had an exclamation point after that sentence. So think about that. Anybody who knows just a little bit about English like me. Exclamation point. It shows expression. It shows this is not going to be good. It shows passion. He goes, "Woe is the man who betrays the Son of Man!" Exclamation point. And then he goes on and said, "It would be better if he was not born." Wow. Tough conversation to have around a festival. Now this festival was also the Passover, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Verses 26 through 28, let's read that first. "While they were eating, Jesus took bread, and when he gave thanks, he broke it, gave it to his disciples, saying, 'Take and eat. This is my body.' When he took the cup, and when he gave thanks, he gave it to them, saying, 'Drink from it, all of you. This is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins.'" So Jesus, we always see Jesus like to work in symbolism. He liked to, get the point, point across. And we like to do that too as well. Think about that. Just like to keep the lid on it. Kind of gave me an idea. Maybe I need to be quiet in this library to do my work. And also keep my lid on my coffee cup. So he liked to use the symbolism to share this. Now the Passover, there's an account of the Passover, the death angel, and this is the time of leaders. This time I need y'all to come up and start passing out the communion. So as they pass it out, guys, remember, hold on to it until I pray and then we'll eat. Okay. Well, what we have here is some symbolism, and think about think about the connection with that Passover in Exodus 12 to what's going on now. Now, you can go ahead and read it. And then what we see here is the firstborn son was going to die. Now think about the idea that Jesus was Mary's firstborn son and he was about to die. Also think about the idea that in order for the firstborn son back in Exodus 12 not to die, they had to get lamb's blood and put it on the doorway. So think about what Jesus was about to go do. Think about the idea that Jesus was about to die on the cross. And in Exodus 12, they put blood's lamb in these three spots. Kind of looks like a cross. So the firstborn was about to die. We call Jesus the Lamb of God. And it was around the same time. Communion is important to us, guys, because it's a representation of what Jesus did. Because it's a symbol of what Jesus did. This is why, if you're not a born-again, baptized believer, to you all it is bread and juice. But to other people, it's a symbol of what Christ did for you. The breaking of the bread, the flowing of the blood. That's what it was a symbol of. That's why it's so important to take communion for us. That's why we do believe that communion is a part of Acts 2:42, breaking bread. But let's go back to the particular reasons of why, just food is important to you. Why food? Why take someone out to eat? Why entertaining people? Let me get this verse queued up on mine. All right. First of all, feeding somebody. You see a homeless person. We go to the rescue mission to see people who are in need. Feeding people is a need. As I told you, people got to eat. We got to. In 1 John 3:17 through 18, it says, if anyone has material possession and sees a brother or sister in need, but has no pity on them, how can the love of God be in that person? Dear children, let us not love with words or speech, but with actions and truth. Guys, people got to eat. Inviting someone for that meal at your house, you fulfill a need. Offering to pay for a soldier when you're at Ruby Tuesdays shows your appreciation. Because people have to eat. We have to eat. It makes others feel special. This kind of goes on with this idea. It makes others feel special. Think about when you're together with someone and then you're visiting family and you hear, I'll take the check. You hear, I'll take the check. Or you're the one saying, no, let me take this. It not only makes the person who's receiving it, it's a given thing. It makes you feel good to give something. Just like these men up here. They are excited. They're grateful for the opportunity that they were able to serve communion to you. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. But also it opens people up. Think about my Blue Bloods analogy. Sunday dinner with that big old family. They're talking about what's going on at work, what's going on in school. Sometimes feeding people kind of loosens them up. Give them a coffee. They're relaxed. I know a person I see at the grind all the time. And I know not to talk to this person until he orders his coffee. I just know that. Because the conversation is just weird if we don't. So it opens people up. If you show the kindness of taking the check, if you show the kindness of sending them to the house. And that's kind of what Jesus was doing too. After he was telling them some bad news after they were eating, he said, guess what? Stuff's about to get real. Here's what it is. Let me get back in my... So he said, Jesus said, this is bread, this is my body. And after he gave thanks, they ate. Let's pray.